Hello and welcome to another episode, and today we're talking basketball again, and I have my cousin Eddie, who's a sports writer. Eddie, welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so today we're talking about who will be the MVP for this season based on what we're seeing so far in the NBA. So Eddie, I'm gonna start with you. Tell us who you think is gonna be the MVP this season in the NBA and why.
Well, I've contemplated myself many times about who's going to be this year's MVP, but I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say Russell Westbrook will be the 2016-2017 NBA MVP.
And he's having a great season. I mean, he started off almost averaging a triple-double. His first game, right? He had like 51 points.
Yeah.
Crazy. And he's averaging like 10 rebounds and 10 assists. I think the one thing that might stop him from getting an MVP is if his team can't get enough wins. Because usually in the NBA, it's usually the player on the team with the most wins gets the MVP. So do you think, let's say if OKC doesn't get enough wins, do you think that will prevent him from getting the MVP?
Well, ultimately, in the stacked up Western Conference, I actually think that they'll squeeze their way in the playoffs, and I think what he's been displaying so far is just going to continue. So with that said, I think he's going to have a sensational year, and I think the voters are going to get it right, and ultimately, I think he's going to be the MVP.
All right, so I think that's a safe bet, but on this case, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think it's going to be Russell Westbrook because I think the Spurs are going to have the best season this year because they're stacked. They have a lot of depth. They have a good bench. And Kawhi Leonard has really stepped it up this year. I mean, his numbers are fantastic. He's almost averaging like 26 points a game, and he's leading the Spurs to a lot of good wins. So what do you think about Kawhi Leonard this year as a possibility for MVP?
Well, listen, Kawhi Leonard, I've always said it even in his rookie year that he is Scottie Pippen 2.0. And over the offseason, he trained with Kobe Bryant. And if you look at his play, he's showing shades of Kobe Bryant as far as different offensive moves. And we got to remember, Kawhi Leonard came into this league known as a defensive-minded player, but he's definitely improved his offense significantly. So if you want to pick Kawhi Leonard to be the MVP, I definitely think he'll be up there to get some votes as well. So you can't go wrong with Kawhi Leonard as well.
And you got to remember, he was also a Finals MVP.
Right.
You remember that, right?
That's right.
He had a great season, a series against LeBron. That's when they beat LeBron's team when he was in the Heat, and he's shown that he could definitely lead a team to a championship. So, all right. So, what about LeBron? What do you think LeBron's chances of winning the MVP this year is?
Well, whenever you put LeBron James in MVP or any sort of championship stage, his name is always going to be there. He's LeBron James. That's just what it is.
Right.
I do think with the power that the Cleveland is possessing against everybody so far this year, I think Kyrie Irving may have a little bit of a better season as far as scoring wise, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that LeBron James has more options to do so. And I honestly think Kyrie Irving is the NBA's best point guard right now. And I think this will be a year for LeBron James to facilitate more of his offensive game and not necessarily have to go night in and night out and score 30 per.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think he's going to have the numbers this year needed to really be the MVP because like Kyrie has shown that he is probably the best scorer on that team, like the go-to player on that team. He's like the closer. He's like the finisher. He's like the Mariano Rivera of the Cavs. When the fourth quarter comes around, he's the guy that wants the ball, and he's not scared of trying to score. And I gotta agree with you. I think Kyrie might be the best point guard of the NBA. I mean, even on top of Steph Curry. I think he's a better point, especially I think he showed that in the finals when he went up against Curry in the finals last year, that he has just a little bit more edge, more hunger than Curry. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, Kyrie Irving was sensational back in his days in Duke. Mike Krzyzewski went on quote and said that he is going to be the best point guard in the NBA in 5 years. And I think Mike Krzyzewski is right on cue with that. And let's not forget, Kyrie Irving has had a sensational summer. with his scoring coming up, his assists up, him helping the Cavaliers win a championship, and not to mention he did help Team USA win the gold medal this summer.
Okay. And I think we're forgetting about one player that, he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and he's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and the team has a really good record. Kevin Durant has been playing like a monster. I thought his numbers were going to go down because he was going to a team with a lot of scorers, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but he is leading that team in scoring, and I wouldn't underestimate them maybe selecting him as the MVP. What do you think?
Well, listen, let's cut to facts. Kevin Durant has been hotter than a fox in a forest fire.
Damn,
and
that's hot.
He's been scoring at will, and it doesn't surprise you because score is score.
He's a scorer.
And we gotta ultimately look at it this way: when LeBron came to Miami a couple of years ago, Dwayne Wade was willing to not necessarily take the backseat, but willing to do other things if it meant them winning a championship. And I think Steph Curry is willing to do that and have Kevin Durant do the scoring, because ultimately Curry is going to get his points, and so is Thompson, and Draymond Green is going to be the vocal leader, and they're going to be okay going down the stretch of the season. But Kevin Durant, as Westbrook, is showing that they can win and they can score at will without them actually being on the same team as each other.
Right, so let's say Golden State ends up with the most wins in the West, and Durant is averaging like 30 points a game. You don't think the NBA would give him the MVP?
I think you have to ultimately consider him. It doesn't change my opinion with Russell Westbrook. I just think Russell Westbrook is going to have a monster season. I think ultimately it's going to actually come down between him, Durant, and Kawhi Leonard.
Right. Some people are saying that people might not select him for the MVP, Kevin Durant, because he kind of took the easy way out. He went to a team that was already stacked, and people that are voting are not going to like that, and he's not even going to be in the consideration for MVP. I totally disagree. I think if Golden State has the best record in the league and he's leading that team in scoring, there's a good chance he might be that MVP. Do you think like they're doing wrong by saying that? Like some critics are saying that maybe he shouldn't even be in the equation for MVP?
Well, listen, critics are gonna talk. It's the same thing they did when LeBron James came to Miami. Oh, he took the easy way route. He could have came to New York, or he could have stood in Cleveland and helped build the foundation there. But ultimately, we're at a day and age where superstars are not necessarily chasing money, they're chasing championships. So yeah, critics are going to talk. That's what critics do. Ultimately, if Kevin Durant has the numbers that are fit to win the MVP, they should reward him the MVP no matter who's on his team. And I think it'll be more impressive him having those numbers despite who's on his team.
I totally agree. All right, so that wraps it up. So pretty much to sum it up, you're saying Russell Westbrook, right?
I got Russell Westbrook winning the MVP this year.
And I'm not going to give it to Russell Westbrook. I don't think his team is going to have enough wins for him to get that MVP. I think he might, average around a triple-double, maybe a little bit less. He's going to have an impressive season, but MVP, I don't think he could pull it off. I'm going with, if I gotta pick somebody, I'm going to go with Kawhi.
Wow.
I got to go with Kawhi. I think the Spurs are deep. I think he has the team to try to get the best record in the league this season. And Pop, he always knows how to put a team together, Popovich. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's MVP and the Spurs go to the finals against the Cavs. Eddie, thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for today. Please subscribe. Keep a lookout for more episodes. We're going to keep covering the NBA this season. Thanks for watching. Peace out.